It's been a few weeks since MrBeast has been called out for his company's practices. Multiple ex-employees have come forward with their stories, and some ex-employees still have their stories to tell.
I am now in contact with a lawyer that was provided by Rosanna Pansino.
I even spoke with an ex-editor of MrBeast who had a lot to share that I'm going to be sharing with you today.
I actually went to therapy after MrBeast because it was like that impactful for me.
But throughout this entire ordeal, MrBeast has been uploading videos like business as usual, even though people have been wondering why he hasn't made a statement. Well, not in the way that you might think.
We're talking about Jimmy Donaldson, but you probably know him as MrBeast. Chloe Malas speaks with another YouTube star who's looking to expose what's really behind the scenes of MrBeast's empire.
Hello everyone, welcome back to The Asher Show, and if you're new, welcome. There's been a lot of news articles, videos, and claims being made about MrBeast. Claims such as MrBeast faked his videos, he knowingly hired a registered sex offender, and that the contestants were being mistreated on the sets of his shows. I highlighted a few of these claims in a previous video, but that was weeks ago. And at the time, Jimmy was radio silent on those allegations. Instead, he has been uploading videos to his channel and hiring lawyers to silence others who have been talking about him. That's right, Dogpack 404 got hit with a cease and desist where he replied, "Facts ain't defamation." Actually, he hired the same lawyer that represented Alec Baldwin after he shot someone on set, Alex Spiro, which people think might look like an admission of guilt. PR experts claim that MrBeast might have made the worst response by hiring celebrity lawyer Alex Spiro. But on top of all of that, we found out recently that MrBeast actually spoke privately with Jake Weddle. On August 16th, Jake Weddle, the ex-employee who broke the news about MrBeast having hired a RSO, released a video titled "Caught Jimmy in a Secret Recording." The title was clickbait. There was no secret recording, and most of the video was just a stream of consciousness. But there was a part 8 minutes into the video where he said that MrBeast DM'd him and even called to try and make things right.
He said, hey, I wanted to reach out and say I didn't mean to cause you mental stress with that video, and I apologize. Clearly it had an effect on you. You mentioned you'd like to be paid out the rest of the prize money, the other $190,000. And I'd love to make things right with you. I have zero expectation of you mentioning me sending you this money publicly or taking down any videos. This is just me wanting to help you out and make sure you're good. I just need to know if you still have the same bank or not. We'll send you the money on Monday. Wish you the best.
So Jake was offered the remainder of the prize money from the video, which he participated in. He said he didn't want the money, but he counted it with a lower amount with the hope that he can continue to make videos talking about Jimmy in future videos.
Counter offer. 50. You save $140,000. You just give me 50. That's going to cover all my debts, some medical bills that I have. I have taxes on the back burner from last year because I'm freelance. And that'll get me back to zero. And I get to keep saying whatever the hell I want. I get to keep being honest. I get to keep being authentic. And I'm not going to worry about you guys coming after me for being myself. Yeah, great. Bank info still the same? So that's the deal.
Why would he do all this? Maybe he thinks he can make more money making videos about MrBeast than MrBeast is actually offering him. In the description of the video, it says the channel is now monetized, and he also plugs his Patreon. Whatever the reason is, this video was the first time that someone has publicly come out and said that they have been contacted by MrBeast since all of this has begun. Jake Weddle was contacted by MrBeast, but still, he hasn't responded to any of the allegations from the videos that Dogpack 404 made. Well, apparently this was on purpose, because according to a video Ludwig posted on August 9th titled "Finally Talking About MrBeast," he says that he spoke with Jimmy and that Jimmy claims he's planning on making a statement but waiting for something.
I called him and I said two things. One, when are you going to reply? And he echoed what was said in the Dogpack video, which is when everything comes out, he's going to make one reply as opposed to a reply after every single video. So we'll see when that happens.
That's right, MrBeast said he's not going to be making a statement until the third video in Dogpack's series comes out so he can make a statement about everything at the exact same time. And at this time, everybody was talking about this third installment, which was supposed to be the worst of the 3 videos. Dogpack even offered to show an early version to Twitch streamers and other YouTubers.
You want to review my next one and then tell me what to cut out?
I mean, I'll take a look, yeah, don't trust my word just inherently, but yeah, I'll weigh in, sure.
But the reason it took so long for a new segment to the series is because of legal reasons, according to a tweet Dogpack replied to. Part 3 issues. I have to get everything approved by the victims and my legal team, which takes time and money. I don't want the video to get age restricted and suppressed. I want to save some stuff for when Jimmy responds. We'll post within the next week for sure though. But the allegations are starting to pile up. People are even making long mega threads with the complete list of the allegations, and every day new claims come out. Claims like how the charities MrBeast has endorsed in the past have been bogus, and that MrBeast's cousin and CEO of Beast Inc. should be investigated. Well, it's the beginning of September, and at the time of me recording this video, Dogpack 404 has in fact released a third expose video. In Dogpack's third video, he makes a lot of new claims pointing to the higher-ups of the MrBeast company, mainly directed towards the CEO of the company, who is MrBeast's cousin, James Warren, and the CFO of the company, LaCoya Hill.
Also, I should quickly clarify that a lot of this investigation is allegedly.
And here are the things that he points out. First, that James Warren was a drug addict and offered coke to employees to stay late.
James Warren, also allegedly an ex-drug addict. I've heard that he offered cocaine and hookers to editors to stay late.
Also, there was a very bad incident between him and a female colleague.
That resulted in the female colleague leaving the company and receiving 3 years in severance pay. I'm still actively looking into this incident, so if you have information, let me know. But I've heard from multiple credible sources that this is true and this did happen.
He talks about how he was involved in a Ponzi scheme.
Ponzi schemes are great up until they just go bust.
So before working at MrBeast, James Warren was involved in a literal fraud. In fact, he's actually mentioned in the court transcripts of this case.
And then he gets into his character.
From what I've heard of James Warren's character, how he's hit ex-girlfriends, not let them leave the house, beat his dog, defrauded people in his own ways. Creative Juice is an interesting one that could be looked into, which was done with MrBeast.
Here are some testimonies that didn't make it into Dogpack 404's videos. Some longer testimony mentioning James. Keep in mind, I've had hundreds of off-the-record phone calls. And the anonymous person says, for context, I worked there for about 4 months, but had pretty close relationships with a lot of the main cast there. There's a ton I could mention, but a lot of it has already been aired out, it seems. A lot of my issues stem from the culture and how toxic it was. For starters, James Warren, who was the CEO when I was there, is possibly one of the most unfit CEOs in the entire world. He's a douche and never once entered the office without making someone cry. He played up the whole alpha male thing and would verbally berate and intimidate employees instead of trying to come to solutions how any normal person would. I've heard many serious allegations surrounding him, but I don't really care to speculate. End all be all is a culture of, if you F up once, you're fired. Made work so stressful, even if you're a fantastic employee. He was supposedly Jimmy's cousin, which is hilarious because that makes total sense if it's true. He does not know how to properly communicate, the turnaround time was atrocious, and I blame that primarily on the toxicity. Going further into the video, he talks about James Warren's best friend and producer for MrBeast in 2019, LaCoya Hill. In 2021, LaCoya Hill was allegedly fired for sexual assault, but actually wasn't really fired, but instead was moved to another company, and then was brought back in 2023.
He was actually brought back to MrBeast in 2023 after sexually assaulting his assistant prior and promoted to Chief Financial Officer, which is how I personally was introduced to him.
Then they go over the testimonies of former employees that have verified the stories about LaCoya Hill and his time at the MrBeast company.
LaCoya Hill, the current COO, in 2021, he had an assistant named victim's name. I heard LaCoya acted very inappropriately with victim, booking hotel rooms with only one bed, walking around in his underwear, having victim come to his house and showing him his sex toy collection. Just in general, LaCoya made victim uncomfortable. Victim started complaining to higher-ups and a report got written. LaCoya was put on paid leave for like a month. Then MrBeast moved him to the dubbing company and he was hired back in 2023 and was promoted to COO, even though Jimmy, James, and Sue 100% know his history.
And then he goes through all of the verified MrBeast employees, all corroborating this exact same story.
There were reports of him making the assistant sleep in the same room/bed with him on trips, touching him inappropriately, and dangling his job in front of him.
After he goes through all of these messages that he got from verified people that work for MrBeast, he talks about the inappropriate work culture And this is a message from another employee from a woman's perspective.
On my very first day, I was told to avoid being alone in a room with certain people in positions of power. At least once a week, I was subjugated to inappropriate questions and conversations. Once, a male coworker asked me what I would do if Jimmy assaulted or harassed me. On another occasion, this same coworker said it wasn't fair that women could just decide a past sexual encounter wasn't consensual. Many of the men I worked with would make assault and pedophilia jokes on a daily basis. They would scream and hit walls when they got upset. The minute any woman leaves a room, they would talk about if/how they would fuck her. I've heard men comment on female contestants' bodies many times. Not everyone behaves this way, but no one openly speaks out against it in fear of losing their job. If you complain about any of this, you'll be shamed for being too sensitive or just ignored. You can't take anything to HR either because Jimmy's mom runs it. It's pretty common for people to essentially get paid to leave and stay quiet if they make enough noise about something. There is no employee handbook, by the way. If you ask for one or what the company's policies are, they just tell you to ask them and they'll let you know if anything is against the rules, but again, there's nothing in writing.
Final allegations were all about MrBeast, and some of this might be hard to hear, but this is exactly what he says about MrBeast being a misogynist.
Behind closed doors, the women in the company know that the culture is a problem. I have heard multiple stories of Jimmy being directly informed of SA happening at the company and proactively working to keep it quiet, so Jess directly implicating Jimmy in the SA cover-ups. LaKoya with an 18-year-old straight assistant, so she's one of the people corroborating that story. Ava told Jimmy about a time she was essayed by another talent member on a private jet, and talent members/employees making advances towards contestants was a regular occurrence. The reason all of this was able to happen for so long is because Jimmy is deeply misogynistic and only respects what he considers to be traditional women. He pushed those values into the company when he created it, and it resulted in several SA allegations we know about, and probably a lot more we don't know yet.
Never actually respect a woman, but just act like you respect. I don't really get along with women.
I just highlighted some of the important parts about his video, but if you want to see the entire thing, the link is going to be in the description. But at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that I spoke with another MrBeast employee who came forward with his story. Well, I spoke with him directly, and he shed a light on a couple things that weren't really discussed in anyone else's videos or testimonies. How long did you work for Jimmy for? You said 3 years.
Yeah, so I worked for Jimmy from November of 2018 to, I think, beginning October of 2021. So almost 3 years.
What did you do there mainly? Just editing?
I started off with me editing for Beast Reacts in 2018. Did a lot of work to really prove myself on that, and then became editor and post-production manager on. Also, I had some water on my lips, so that's going to be great on the camera. I moved to post-production manager and editor at the same time for Beast Reacts, like 2018, 2019-ish. And then they really still enjoyed my work up to that point. So at the end of 2019, I was contracted to go out to North Carolina to work on main channel videos, because December of 2019 was just like, they were pushing out one video a week. And like, they were all huge videos, and it was like all hands on deck. So they wanted me to go out there and help on that. I went out there and then, put in my worth out there to the point where they enjoyed it so much that they offered for me to move out to North Carolina and work full time as a editor / post-production manager, and I accepted. So in January of 2020, I moved out to North Carolina, worked on more main channel videos. They wanted me to work on main channel videos, but they also wanted me to head this other subsidiary company they had called Horizontal Productions. And eventually they told me that I needed to stop working on the main channel videos and just head Horizontal Productions for gaming and reacts. I basically did that from March of 2020 to October of 2021. During that time, I was post-production manager. I was also production manager. I was also an editor, and I was also a retention specialist.
Wow.
And yeah, so I had four full-time jobs wearing all these hats all at the same time, because I would go, like, the other editors would edit the videos and then send it to me via Frame. I don't know if you know what Frame is, like where you leave comments on videos and things like that. And they would send that to me, and I would stay up until 3 a.m., 4 a.m. every single night, commenting on those videos on what needs to change. Like, I worked Thanksgiving, Christmas, my 30th birthday, 4th of July, from 2020 to 2021, New Year's, like every single holiday you can think of. I worked those holidays just so I could comment on these videos, and then I would go to bed at 3 or 4 a.m. and then get up at like 9:30 the next day just so I could drive back to the studio and then work on production stuff.
Wow.
Every single day from 2020 to 2021. And the craziest thing about that is that, like, I mean, you know me, we've hung out before and everything. I just never complained about it because I just took the hits and then didn't say anything. But it speaks to the culture of the MrBeast company that's the way it is. You don't complain about your work.
Right.
You just do your job. Don't report it to Jimmy because Jimmy doesn't care. Jimmy never asked about how I was doing or anything because Jimmy is, quite frankly, a sociopath. So
Right.
if he wants to hang out with you, it's definitely going to be money centric. It's definitely going to be how he can benefit from you. Nothing is ever like, let's just have a good time, watch a movie or something. He's always going to be talking about work. He's always going to be wanting you to do something productive. He wanted you basically to read his mind on what needed to be changed, but no one has that power.
I've heard him say that before in actual interviews. He says that he gets people to shadow him so they know what to do without him even saying it. He wants people to know exactly what he's thinking before he does it.
Not even partially. That's where James Warren comes in too, because James Warren thinks that he can read Jimmy's mind. And so all of the changes that are made to the video comes from James Warren of what needs to be done to this video. And even then, James Warren really doesn't know what Jimmy's thinking either.
And is it true that you train somebody to essentially be you?
Oh, 100%.
And where is that person?
The CEO. He just runs like the hiring and basically, while I'm here just having fun, what is it, Monday? He's over there working.
James Warren is the one that strongholds the entire company to change the video to how he thinks the video needs to be changed to.
So you were working at around the time that James Warren was actually still CEO there?
Yes, yeah. I think James Warren is still CEO there.
Oh.
James Warren, I think he's always been the CEO of MrBeast.
To your knowledge, did you know about him offering substances to people to stay and work longer?
Yep, Adderall. There was a huge, I say huge, but it was all internal. There was a time in summer of 2020, it might have been fall, where Adderall was being passed around the company, and there were higher up employees that were offering it to other employees just so they could work all night and edit videos all night. So that way they could like stop complaining and stop sleeping. And it was investigated internally within the company, but how far does that go? Like, it's like it did nothing. Like this whole thing lasted like a week. I remember James Warren had to be pulled out of the company story for like a week, and then the next week he was right back in. That's an employee, I believe that's one of James Warren's friends named Devin Leach, and that's him admitting right there that like he is part of the crew that's passing around Adderall in the company. And by the way, in that message, John Smith is Jimmy, and it's funny that my proof of that being Jimmy is this message that I found where he sent an article of his wiki feed confirming that that's him. Yes.
Right. I think that's proof enough. Everyone knows WikiFeed is a very reputable website. 4.8 out of 5 is a very high score, so he must be very proud about that. This tweet, you said, "Hello, former MrBeast employee here. This video and insight from Rosanna Pansino paints a really good picture as to how Jimmy acts," and you quoted her video reading the leaked documents, which was how to succeed at a MrBeast production. That document was accurate to how things go in the company?
Yes, it was accurate to how things go in the company. I'll say that I have to confirm this, That document was probably released after I was laid off from MrBeast, which I can also talk about why I was laid off, because that's the truth. But yeah, that was probably posted after my time. And there might be a little bit of it might be because of me, because I kept on telling Jimmy no to stuff, and he hated hearing that because he wants to be surrounded by yes men.
Right.
It's very telling of his personality. Would not surprise me if he's still that way, because he never learned his lesson, because everything is such a boys club at MrBeast. I mean, you know, to the point where he goes on a podcast and says, "Hey, I don't know how to talk to women," which, you know, rip to his girlfriend.
Terrible thing to say. Like, what are they not also human beings? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. One time during a Discord call during one of the gaming sessions, he mentioned that someone was acting very autistic, and I remember calling him out on that because I have autism. Whenever I did call him out on that, he just whenever I called him out on that, he just like shut down and didn't say anything. So not only does he talk like a gamer, he's also a fucking pussy. So that's the reason why he's not responding to anything. And then posting moments. Yeah. And then also he's posted like 2 TikToks in the past week, like ignoring all of this.
You can see that his cave video doesn't have as much views as he would usually get in a week's time.
I didn't even know he posted again.
He was like, "What survival challenge should I do next?" And all the comments were either Cristiano Ronaldo is coming, or
oh my god,
people are commenting about fake lotteries. But the way that they're saying it, I think he's deleting comments. So he's saying,
"Oh, absolutely, he is."
He said, "What do y'all think about lake fotteries?" Switching the L and the F for fake lotteries. So
oh my god,
he's been trying to clean up comments. So after that, he hasn't posted on his main channel in 2 weeks, and you can even see on the graph it's probably a third less views than usual.
Let's go to his Social Blade knockoff viewstats.com and take a look at that. You can see that like he's about to break the lower part of like where his videos are supposed to be.
People realize that he hasn't said anything, and I feel like they're really getting fed up.
The point that these journalists and Rosanna is trying to make is parents need to know about this, because kids aren't going to be aware about these allegations. Some are. I mean, there are some smart kids out there for sure. But the parents need to know that MrBeast knowingly hired a registered sex offender, knowingly rehired a person accused of sexual assault, and those kids need to keep away from what MrBeast is presenting, because obviously everything that he's presenting is just for show. And there's so much behind the scenes with sexual assault, with rape, and with abusing employees. He's guilty of all of those.
Did you know about LaKoya Hill, or have you met LaKoya or worked?
I very much worked with LaKoya to the point where, I don't know if you saw my tweet the other day, but after that video came out, after Dogpack's video came out about LaKoya, like all of those memories just rushed back to me, and I was just like, oh my god, he was kicked out of the company because of sexual assault. There's so many things about all of these stories coming out that I straight up just forgot, because A, it's traumatizing, B, it's just so much information that whenever it comes up, it just strikes right back in my head, and I'm just like, oh my god, he did touch his assistant and things like that. So yes, I talked a lot with LaKoya when I was at MrBeast. When the sexual assault allegations or accusations started in 2021, it was announced in the company that LaKoya was taking a family leave, and that family leave occurred for a month. And then someone messaged me, and I don't remember if it was Ava, I don't remember if it was Carl or someone, but someone messaged me and they gave me the tip of, hey, LaKoya's not been on family leave for a month. He got caught sexually assaulting his assistant. And I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
He took his leave July, and then it was confirmed that that happened in like August of 2021. And the tweet that I posted the other day was also, you know, it didn't like confirm my knowledge of the sexual assault allegations or anything, although, you know, there's messages of that too. It just added more info about like how things are run in the company, because LaCoya had a pretty high position in the company. Like he was production manager.
I'm looking at it right now. When I went back to look at logs about LaCoya, this story came up.
And about like how there was I got hunted by an FBI agent video in 2021. And what people don't know is that was the second time that was recorded. Very similar to the Jake Weddle story. Amazing how that happened so much in 2021. The first time that they recorded it, they didn't vet the FBI agent talent properly. And it ended up that guy was a psychopath and like bumped into the car that Ava and Chandler and all the other talent were in, and like made them drive off the road and crash. And like he bumped to the back of their car and made them crash. I don't know if it was into a ditch. I don't know if it was into a tree, but they crashed the car. And like it got to the point where they had to stop recording, and then they decided that they were going to go separate ways with the FBI agent, but not before the FBI agent said that he used to be in the war in Afghanistan. And he said that he got PTSD about the war from that video. And then also that actually being at the war in Afghanistan was actually fun. So
yeah, he does sound like a psychopath.
Yeah. Just searching LaCoya in the group chat just brought up so many like different instances of LaCoya not knowing what the fuck he was doing at the company.
Yeah.
Because he's best friends with James Warren. Mm-hmm. So that's okay. Yeah, that's why LaCoya was then quote unquote let go in 2021, but then secretly shuffled within the company to a lower position where I guess he wasn't as visible in documents, and then eventually promoted to another position of power up until, you know, very recently, whenever they had to restructure the company with the leaked email from within MrBeast's team. And then he got reshuffled to circling right back to it, Global Co or something like that, which is the department that's in charge of the translations of the video translations. Yeah, I'm familiar with LaCoya.
To hear that you heard the same things at this around the same time is good confirmation. Everything that's happening right now, it seems like it could have been really easily avoided if things had been dealt with better earlier
and managed
on.
Properly.
Exactly. Properly managed.
Yeah.
Maybe not have your mom be the HR.
Not being a fucking Nepo company. That would definitely help.
Like, we've seen all of the Ava Kris Tyson discords and heard about all the weird things that were going on. Was there anything else that probably you didn't see that was talked about that you might have known about?
That's a very hard question, because it's like my heart says yes, probably. But I don't have any proof right now of like not even any stories off the top of my head, because I would have to go back to all those messages, like all those messages from early 2020 and look through and see like any of those things that I saw. I don't want the story to be shifted away from the culture of MrBeast and what Jimmy promotes within the company, how he wants the culture to be, is that a lot of the edgy type of content and a lot of the, edgy cringeworthy humor started with Ava. Like she sent a bunch of messages that probably shouldn't have been sent in a work group chat, just because she thought it was funny at the time. And it's like, okay, that culture was being promoted within the company, but people are going to use that as more fuel against Ava. And because she's a trans woman, you know, people, especially on Twitter, are going to use that as fear the trans people. And I don't want the narrative to be lost there. I want the narrative to be focused on Jimmy and James Warren and other executives within the company of what they were promoting within the company and not stopping themselves. Seeing other people come out and how they're protected because what they are saying is the truth makes me say, okay, I'm okay coming out now and saying all of this because, you know, what I'm saying is the truth. And all of this sketchy stuff that's happening, it happened. Like you can't deny that. So, I mean, I hope what I'm saying and coming out with, I hope that the people that I contacted and others will also have the courage to also come up, even anonymously, because there are some people who don't even want to say anything anonymously because they're scared that everything can be traced back to them. But it's like what Special Witness was saying, facts ain't defamation. So
exactly. You know how hard it is to prove defamation.
Now I'll go ahead and tell you this story. The reason why I was laid off is because, like I told you at the beginning of this, I worked every single night. I worked holidays. I missed my niece being born. Like I wanted to be back in Texas to not watch my niece. That'd be weird. To go see my new niece.
Right.
Mid 2021, I decided that I was like, I hate it in Greenville, North Carolina. That's another thing. The place where they live fucking sucks. And I'm sorry to say that out loud. The people there are lovely. People are great. The town sucks. But it just got to me, and like the culture, the hustle culture, I wasn't really vibing with because I grew up on comedy. Whenever I started working with MrBeast, I didn't even know who the fuck he was. I was just doing it for like credibility and a paycheck, really. So I decided I was going to move back to Texas, and I even called Jimmy and I said, hey, is it okay if I do all of my work remotely and go back to Texas and live there while still working for you? Because 95% of Horizontal, which Horizontal Productions doesn't exist anymore, by the way, that got shut down last year. But at the time, 95% of the team, more or less, were remote. And I was like, well, why can't I be remote? Because we had a new on location person who was a very good friend of mine. And I said he should be promoted to be on location and be at production and everything, and do this job and everything. So I want to be remote. And I called Jimmy and I said, can I do that? And he said, yes, sure. And so I got confirmation from Jimmy that I could work remotely and still live in Texas. Then in early October 2020, we posted a video. It might have been late September. I can't remember. But there's definitely a timestamp on it. We posted a video that was a Ubisoft partnership video for a Far Cry 6 sponsor. With the gaming channel, everything was a challenge video. You know, everything had to be a challenge because that's what kids like whenever they watch a YouTube video. It's engaging for them and all that. But how do you make a challenge video out of fucking Far Cry 6? And if you don't curse on your channel, by the way, I'm sorry. I have a sailor's mouth. It was this video. First to raid island wins $100,000. Far Cry 6 is a single player game. And so we had to have 4 talent make a challenge out of this video where they're not on the same map or anything. So it was just like, this video was doomed to begin with because it's not Minecraft. It's not GTA. It's nothing interesting. What kid is going to go out and buy Far Cry 6? We got a Giancarlo Esposito film something for it, so that was cool.
Starting to feel a little OP, are we? I've seen what you can do, MrBeast Gaming.
We posted it, and Jimmy put me on a group call with the other leads at Horizontal. He was fucking furious about it because like it started tanking just so much, and he was just like, why do we post this, blah blah blah, every video needs the best video possible. Trey, this is all your fault. This is all your fault for posting a cringe video, and we need to work more hours. We need to do this, we need to do that. And it was during that call that I was like, Jimmy, I'm not working more than 45 hours anymore per week. I'm not working Saturdays and Sundays anymore. I will continue working for you, but I'm not doing that. And he paused and he was like taken aback. And he was like, oh, I didn't know you felt that way. Which is, how do you say that? Like the average work week for an American is 40 hours a week. How are you going to say that to me?
Imagine being surprised that you won a weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And people at Walmart can't work more than 40 hours a week because if they do, then Walmart's breaking a law. Like I told him on that call with the 2 other leads at Horizontal, And then I got a message from one of the other leads a few hours later, or maybe the next day, saying we need to talk on Monday. So that ruined my entire weekend that weekend of just like the impending doom of just like, oh my God, they're going to lay me off. And then there was a gaming session that happened on Monday, and I was there on the call, but like no one was talking to me, so I knew what was coming. And it was just like, yeah, after that call, that lead called me and he was just like, sorry, we got to let you go. And I was crushed too. I was just like, I mean, what can be, we can change things. Like what can be done to change this? And he's just like, I'm sorry, that's just the way it has to be. And I mean, and Jimmy even had the fucking audacity to call me after that call and ask if I was okay. Jeez. That was definitely another story that I wanted to get out there about why I was laid off from MrBeast. And I feel like that your channel is going to be like the big revelation on that, by the way. So hopefully that explodes in his face, because it is true. And that did happen.
Yeah.
I have such weird feelings against it because I did go through it. And then I tell people and they're just like, that's so much shit. And I don't know if it's because I'm Irish or something, but I tell the stories and I'm just like, yeah, I took some punches, but I'm still me. Whereas other people could repeat what I went through and they would go fucking nuts. So I'm definitely a different person because I come from a background like, you know, I worked shitty customer support jobs before I worked on video editing and everything. And it got to a point whenever I finally got my foot in the door, I was just like, okay, I have to do everything I can so I never have to answer another goddamn phone call ever again. You know, the interview that I had on Friday, they asked me about like, how did it affect you? And like, I'm not going to go much into this because it was emotional, but like I actually went to therapy after MrBeast because it was like that impactful for me. And when I was telling them that, I started crying. So like,
oh man,
if I have anything else that I can remember, there's so much shit, dude. Like I don't know what else to say right now just because there's so much. But if I have anything else, I can send it to you.
Yes, perfect. Sounds good. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Make sure you leave me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below what you want to see me talk about next, and be sure to tune in next time.